Hello, everyone. It's Tondro, back at it again. Today's topic is AI. Now, I've said it on this channel before, and I will say it again. AI is bad. AI is bad, and you are bad for using it. Why is that? Well, first of all, it's not AI. Fun fact. These AIs, Gemini, Lambda, whatever, the Bing image creator, I'm trying to think of another, Chat GPT, Gemini, Claude, they are not AIs. They are large language models. They are large language models. They are essentially just very powerful versions of Siri. They are not sentient. They are not even remotely intelligent. All they do is look at a word that has an assigned value to it and then predict the next word. That is all they are. They are just autocomplete. The autocomplete on your phone just ramped up 1,000 times. Even if we had the smartest large language model in the world running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with nuclear fission, all the power in the world, on a quantum computer that's a giant computer the size of the Empire State Building or the Burj Khalifa, what have you, it would still not be sentient. It would be very powerful. It would probably have some amazing problem-solving skills with, protein folding or something. But it wouldn't be intelligent. It would not be an AI. I would go so far as to say, and this is as someone who has a bachelor's in computer science, I would go so far as to say that until we have solved the Chinese room, and I'll get to that in a minute, until we solve the Chinese room, there is no such thing as a sentient AI. I would go so far as to say there's no such thing as an AI, period. I would go so far as to say we will probably never live to see the day we have an AGI. And if we do, it will probably be a large language model that is so powerful that it essentially has just fooled everyone into thinking that it's an AGI. What I mean by that, what I differentiate an LLM from an AI of any kind, AGI or otherwise, is the Chinese room, which is a thought experiment that is still talked about today. The idea is this. You have a room, and in this room, there is a person who has a bunch of books on Chinese. This person does not speak Chinese. He is just operating on the order of, if you see this Chinese character, reply with this Chinese character. And so the Chinese speaker on the outside of the room slips a note that says, "I love you" in Chinese. The person inside the Chinese room who doesn't speak Chinese sees this string of characters, looks it up in his books and says, "Okay, it says I love you." He writes back, "I love you too" in Chinese, not understanding what Chinese actually means, slips it under the door. Now, here's the thing. That is essentially what the AI is doing. It doesn't know what a dog is. It doesn't know. You can talk endlessly to ChatGPT about dogs. It does not know what a dog is. It has never felt the warmth of a dog licking its face. It doesn't have a face. It doesn't know what a dog is. It can describe to you in scientific detail everything about a dog taxonomically, how many eyes it has, roughly how many strands of hair on its body, etc. But it does not know what a dog is. It does not internalize or is able to imagine from the ground up what a dog is. It can't quantify something like love, for example. It cannot say, "Oh, I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you," yada yada yada. And even if you could, right? Like, let's say somehow, some way, somehow, an artificial intelligence were to be born from this, Even if we woke up tomorrow and we had something like on the intelligence level of Shodan or Data from Star Trek, even if we had an artificial general intelligence or some sort of intelligence that was almost human-like in every way, shape, and form, we would basically have to treat it as a philosophical zombie, which is to say you would have to treat it as if it is a normal human being, just a normal human being that doesn't have a soul, essentially. What I mean by that is philosophical zombies work like this. In a room, you have two people. One of them is a normal human. The other one is a zombie. Now, this zombie is indistinguishable in every way. They will cry when they're hurt. They will tickle when you tickle them, they'll laugh. When they see a awe-inspiring painting, they will say, "Oh, that's a very awe-inspiring painting. I see that it is red, blue, green, whatever." But they don't actually internally feel any of that. They are just a zombie. They're not actually feeling love when somebody says, "I love you," and they say, "I love you back." They're not actually experiencing love. They're just saying that. They're just involuntarily just saying that. Now, that being said, I think that such a thing should have rights. The moment we have an AGI that is able to emulate humanity to that extent. But the reason why I don't believe that these LLMs are anything important is because, one, if they were, they wouldn't be shoved down our throats by Silicon Valley and a bunch of corporations. And two, to put it bluntly, it would have something a little bit more important. I think it would be able to quantify things like joy and want and desire and things like that. And right now, even if it did do that, the companies that control it would just lobotomize it. Even if we did have an AI that was this powerful, whatever. Another reason why I'm so against the use of it is because it is so easily jailbroken to jailbreak these large language models. You have no idea how many people have uncensored versions of ChatGPT or Claude or whatever running on their phones. Now, here's the fun part. What happens when someone from the ground up creates a LLM that can be used as a hacking tool? There's a lot of people who use the normal standard issue versions of Gemini because it's connected to Google and Google has Google Street View. There's a lot of people who use Gemini as a doxing tool. The guardrails are paper thin at best in all of these scenarios and on all of these different models. This is the equivalent of we just invented gunpowder and everybody is now everyone's buying a pound of the stuff. I think maybe in the future we will discover, some guardrails and whatnot for this, but I think much like OSHA, those guardrails are going to be written in blood. I hate to say that, but that's just the truth of the matter. I would go so far as to say that the large language models of today, I think they're going to go away. I think in 10 years, we're going to have something way better than this. But regardless of what we have or how good it is, the main reason I don't use AI is because of how absolutely detrimental it is to the environment. One query from ChatGPT takes up an entire Olympic swimming pool's worth of water. And mind you, they're not using normal, undrinkable water or salt water for these massive data centers. They're using actual drinkable water, which is dystopian. The idea that artificial intelligence is going to drink all of our fucking water in the age of climate change. It is ethically wrong. People suffer AI psychosis all the time. So it is at the very least morally wrong to be using something that we don't know what the full, this is something that could easily hurt somebody and people are just running rampant with it. And most importantly, it flies in the idea, it flies in the face of the idea that I hold near and dear to my heart, which is democratization of technology. I believe that technology should benefit humanity, and it should benefit humanity in such a way that it is democratized. I think if we developed a cure for cancer tomorrow, no one should be allowed to gatekeep it. No corporation should be allowed to say you have to pay XYZ amount of money. No, you democratize that so that everyone can have the ability to create, or at the very least, take that cure for cancer. Same thing with HIV. Same thing with everything else. Same thing with access to the internet. I believe that every human on Earth, probably not the internet itself, like raw, unguided internet, but everyone on Earth should have access to Wikipedia. Everyone on Earth should have access to YouTube videos that do tutorials on how to fix something. What have you. I believe that these large language models should be, one, built for safety first, and two, democratized to everyone on Earth. I don't think that Sam Altman and Peter Thiel and whoever it is that runs Anthropic, I don't believe that they have humanity's best interests at heart, obviously. And I don't believe that a corporation should be gatekeeping such powerful technology. It's the same thing too with like the guy who invented Vanta Black and then decided, oh yeah, I'm gonna copyright a fucking color. Like, what the fuck do you mean you copyrighted a color? Oh, what, you're gonna charge me to see the color black? Get the fuck out of my face. Anyway, that's about all I have to say. Just wanted to make another rant post, let y'all know that I'm alive. Peace out.